The former president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, has been arrested at Manila's international airport.
For years, former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte ruled with an iron fist, his brutal war on drugs leaving thousands dead. But in a stunning twist, the once untouchable strongman has been taken into custody on an international criminal court, ICC, warrant for crimes against humanity. Arrested at Manila's main airport upon returning from Hong Kong, Duterte now faces the reckoning his critics long awaited. But will he actually stand trial, or will his influence still shield him from justice? Stay with us as we uncover the full story behind this historic moment of
and the basis for detention. So, what is the law and what is the crime?
Rodrigo Duterte, the former president of the Philippines, was arrested on Tuesday in Manila after the International Criminal Court issued a warrant accusing him of crimes against humanity related to his war on drugs, which human rights groups claim led to the summary execution of tens of thousands of Filipinos. He was taken into custody at Manila's main airport upon returning from a trip to Hong Kong, as reported by the Philippine government. Duterte's lawyer, Salvador Panelo, argued that the arrest was unlawful, citing the Philippines' withdrawal from the court during Duterte's presidency. In the ICC warrant, a three-judge panel stated that, based on evidence from the court's prosecutor, they believed the killings ordered by Duterte during his time as mayor of Davao and later as president were both widespread and systematic. The panel also asserted that Mr. Duterte is individually responsible for the crime against humanity of murder. The New York Times obtained a copy of the sealed warrant, which was marked secret. At 79 years old, Duterte, who left office in 2022, is a populist figure and remains one of the Philippines' most influential politicians, enjoying a degree of immunity despite numerous accusations related to his anti-drug campaign. However, his arrest could represent a significant move toward accountability for the thousands of Filipinos who have long sought justice for their loved ones, many of whom were killed by police, hitmen, and vigilantes. Activists argue that the vast majority of victims were impoverished urban Filipinos, including minors and individuals uninvolved in the drug trade. Only a small number of people have been convicted in connection with the killings, which rights groups estimate to be around 30,000. I am very happy that Duterte has been arrested so we can finally have justice, said Cristina Jumala, whose 3 sons were killed during the drug war. We waited so long for this. It remains uncertain whether Mr. Duterte will be compelled to surrender to the ICC located in The Hague. This case will serve as a significant test for the court, which has recently sought the arrest of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the leader of the military junta in Myanmar, Min Aung Hlaing, both accused of crimes against humanity. Just moments before his arrest, Mr. Duterte displayed his usual defiance. "You would have to kill me first if you are going to ally with white foreigners," he stated while disembarking from a plane arriving from Hong Kong, as captured in a video shared by GMA News, a Philippine broadcaster. For years, Mr. Duterte appeared untouchable, serving as mayor of Davao, the Philippines' second-largest city. For over 2 decades, he conducted a brutal anti-drug campaign without facing consequences. In 2016, he leveraged his tough-on-crime image to win the presidential election, despite experts noting that the country did not have a significant drug problem. During his final campaign rally that year, Mr. Duterte urged the audience to forget the laws on human rights. "You drug pushers, hold-up men, and do-nothings. You better go out," he warned, "because I'll kill you." He claimed he would grant himself and his security forces immunity from prosecution and would pardon himself for the crime of multiple murder. While in office, Mr. Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the ICC, which had started investigating the extrajudicial killings. Mr. Panelo, Mr. Duterte's lawyer, argued that the arrest was unlawful, partly because the Philippine police did not permit the former president's attorneys to meet him at the airport. He indicated plans to file criminal complaints against the police and the officials responsible for the arrest. He further asserted that the arrest was illegal because the arrest warrant. The Philippines remains a member of Interpol, which has the authority to seek the arrest of Mr. Duterte on behalf of the ICC. An Interpol representative was present during Mr. Duterte's arrest. When his single 6-year term concluded in 2022, his administration reported that security forces had killed 6,252 individuals, all labeled as drug suspects by officials. Mr. Duterte appeared to enjoy a sense of impunity even under his successor, Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. The son of the late dictator Ferdinand E. Marcos, He ascended to the presidency after forming a political alliance with Mr. Duterte's daughter, Sara, who became his vice president. Early in his term, Mr. Marcos suggested that he would not cooperate with the ICC. However, the relationship between Mr. Marcos and Ms. Duterte quickly deteriorated. By late 2023, Mr. Marcos's administration had discreetly permitted ICC investigators to enter the Philippines. Last year, the House of Representatives in the Philippines initiated an inquiry into Mr. Duterte's drug war. Although the former president declined to testify in the House, he did appear at a Senate hearing where he enjoys significant support in October. For all of its successes and shortcomings, I and I alone take full legal responsibility, he stated regarding the anti-drug campaign. For all the police did under my orders, I will take responsibility. I should be the one jailed, not the policemen who followed my orders. It's unfortunate. They were just doing their jobs. Philippine police have arrested former President Rodrigo Duterte after the International Criminal Court, ICC, issued a warrant accusing him of crimes against humanity related to his lethal war on drugs. The 79-year-old was taken into custody shortly after arriving at Manila Airport from Hong Kong. He has not apologized for his harsh anti-drug campaign, which resulted in thousands of deaths during his presidency in the Southeast Asian nation from 2016 to 2022, and earlier as mayor of Davao City. Upon his arrest, he questioned the legitimacy of the warrant, asking, "What crime have I committed?" Duterte's former presidential spokesperson, Salvador Panelo, criticized the arrest as unlawful, noting that the Philippines had withdrawn from the ICC in 2019. However, the ICC stated that it retains jurisdiction over alleged crimes committed before the country's withdrawal. Activists hailed the arrest as a historic moment for the victims of his drug war and their families, according to the International Coalition for Human Rights in the Philippines. The arc of the moral universe is long, but today it has bent towards justice. Duterte's arrest marks the start of accountability for the mass killings that characterized his brutal regime, said ICHRP chairperson Peter Murphy. Duterte had been in Hong Kong campaigning for the upcoming May 12th midterm elections, where he intended to run for mayor of Davao. Footage broadcast on local television showed him exiting the airport with a cane. Authorities reported that he is in good health and receiving care from government doctors. "What is my sin? I did everything during my time for peace and a better life for the Filipino people," he told a supportive crowd of Filipino expatriates before departing Hong Kong. A video shared by his daughter Veronica Duterte captured Duterte in custody at a lounge in Manila's Villamor Air Base. In the footage, he can be heard questioning the reasons behind his arrest. "What is the law and what crime have I committed? I was brought here against my will. It was someone else's doing. You need to explain this deprivation of my liberty." The war on drugs. Duterte was the mayor of Davao, a large city in the south, for 22 years, transforming it into one of the safest places in the country regarding street crime. He leveraged Davao's reputation for peace and order, presenting himself as a tough anti-establishment figure, to secure a landslide victory in the 2016 elections. With his fiery speeches, he urged security forces to eliminate drug suspects. Over 6,000 suspects were killed by police or unidentified assailants during the campaign, although human rights organizations suggest the actual number may be higher. A previous UN report indicated that most victims were young, impoverished urban males, and that police, who can conduct house raids without search or arrest warrants, often coerce suspects into making self-incriminating statements or face deadly consequences. Critics argued that the campaign primarily targeted low-level dealers from the urban poor while failing to apprehend major drug lords. Many families contended that the victims' sons, brothers, or husbands were merely in the wrong place at the wrong time. Investigations in Parliament pointed to a mysterious death squad of bounty hunters going after drug suspects. Duterte has refuted the claims of abuse. "Do not question my policies because I offer no apologies, no excuses. I did what I had to do, and whether or not you believe it, I did it for my country," Duterte stated during a parliamentary investigation in October. "I hate drugs. Make no mistake about it." The ICC first acknowledged the alleged abuses in 2016 and began its investigation in 2021, covering cases from November 2011, when Duterte was mayor of Davao, until March 2019, just before the Philippines withdrew from the ICC. Critics argued that the campaign focused on low-level drug dealers from impoverished neighborhoods while neglecting to apprehend major drug lords. Many families contended that the victims, sons, brothers, or husbands, were merely in the wrong place at the wrong time. Investigations in Parliament pointed to a mysterious death squad of bounty hunters targeting drug suspects. Duterte has denied any allegations of misconduct. Do not question my policies because I offer no apologies, no excuses. I did what I had to do, and whether or not you believe it, I did it for my country, Duterte stated during a parliamentary investigation in October. I hate drugs, make no mistake about it. The ICC first acknowledged the alleged abuses in 2016 and began its investigation in 2021, covering cases from November 2011, when Duterte was mayor of Davao, to March 2019, just before the Philippines withdrew from the ICC. Donald Trump of the East Duterte continues to enjoy popularity in the Philippines as the first leader from Mindanao, a region south of Manila, where many feel overlooked by the capital's leaders. He frequently speaks in Cebuano, the regional language, rather than Tagalog, which is more commonly spoken in Manila and the northern regions. His populist rhetoric and straightforward remarks have earned him the nickname Donald Trump of the East. He has referred to Russian President Vladimir Putin as his idol, and under his administration, the Philippines shifted its foreign policy focus from the U.S., its longtime ally, to China. His daughter and political successor, Sara Duterte, currently serves as the vice president and is seen as a potential presidential candidate for 2028. In recent months, the alliance between the Duterte family and incumbent President Ferdinand Marcos has dramatically unraveled in public view shortly after Marcos and Sara Duterte won the 2022 elections by a significant margin. Initially, Marcos was reluctant to cooperate with the ICC investigation, but as his relationship with the Duterte family soured, he changed his position and later suggested that the Philippines would cooperate. It is not clear yet whether Marcos would go as far as extraditing the former president to stand trial in The Hague. Duterte oversaw a widespread and violent anti-drug campaign that resulted in the deaths of over 6,000 individuals, according to police statistics, although independent observers suggest that the actual number of extrajudicial killings could be significantly higher. The 79-year-old Duterte was taken into custody amid chaotic scenes at Manila's main airport after returning to the Philippines from Hong Kong on Tuesday. Interpol's Manila office confirmed that it had received the official copy of the arrest warrant from the ICC on Tuesday morning, as stated by the Presidential Communications Office. Upon Duterte's arrival, the Prosecutor General filed an ICC notification for an arrest warrant against the former president for crimes against humanity, the statement noted, adding that Duterte is now in the custody of authorities. Duterte challenged the legitimacy of the warrant, asking, "What is the law and what is the crime that I committed?" in a video shared online by his daughter Veronica Kitty Duterte. CNN has reached out to both Interpol and the ICC for their comments. Some commentators have dubbed him Asia's Trump due to his unconventional leadership style and brash rhetoric. Duterte rose to power in 2016 with a pledge to combat drugs and drug dealers in the Southeast Asian nation. The resulting violent crackdown led to thousands of deaths, with many victims being young men from impoverished neighborhoods, shot by police and rogue gunmen as part of a campaign targeting dealers. Officers were seen patrolling the airport after former President Rodrigo Duterte arrived in Manila, Philippines on March 11, 2025. The violence triggered an investigation by the ECC, along with a lengthy inquiry by the House of Representatives and a separate Senate investigation led by the cousin of the current president. Although Duterte withdrew the Philippines from the ICC, the court retains jurisdiction over crimes committed during the period of membership, which in this case spans from 2016 to 2019, when the Philippines officially exited. Meanwhile, the government under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who took office in 2022, has suggested that Duterte may be handed over to the court, according to a report by Reuters. Our law enforcers are prepared to act according to the law, and if a warrant of arrest needs to be executed due to a request from Interpol, we will comply, said Presidential Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro during a press briefing on Monday, as reported by Reuters. At an event in Hong Kong on Sunday, Duterte criticized the ICC amid rumors that the international body might issue a warrant for his arrest related to his involvement in the drug crackdown. From what I've heard, I have a warrant from the ICC or something, Duterte told his supporters in Hong Kong. Duterte is making a comeback as political factions in the Philippines engage in a fierce struggle for power. What did I do wrong? I did everything I could during my time to ensure some peace and quiet for the Filipino people. In response to claims that the former president was in custody, his ex-spokesperson Harry Roque stated, "The warrant of arrest lacks foundation because it was issued when we were no longer a member of the ICC." Roque added during a Facebook livestream, "What's happening now is unlawful detention. We have yet to see the warrant of arrest from either the police or Interpol." However, human rights organizations welcomed the prospect of Duterte's detention and called on the Philippines to surrender the former president to the ICC. Brian Lau, Deputy Asia Director at Human Rights Watch, remarked, "Duterte's detention is a vital step toward accountability in the Philippines. His arrest could bring victims and their families closer to justice and sends a strong message that no one is above the law." War on drugs. Before his presidency, Duterte laid the foundation for his violent war on drugs, which saw police operate with impunity against drug users, small-time dealers, and major traffickers. As mayor of Davao City, a city of 1.5 million on the southern island of Mindanao, Duterte gained national notoriety over two. He promoted a tough stance on crime and claimed to have significantly lowered Davao's previously high rates of violent crime. However, this reputation was accompanied by accusations of his involvement in extrajudicial killings carried out by a well-organized group of vigilantes. Philippine Vice President Duterte faced impeachment over alleged involvement in a plot to assassinate Marcos and other accusations. In his final campaign speech before the 2016 election, he urged the audience to forget the laws of human rights. "If I reach the presidential palace, I will act just as I did as mayor. You drug dealers, robbers, and lazy individuals, you better watch out. Because as mayor, I'd kill you," Duterte declared. As president, he maintained the same blunt rhetorical style he exhibited during his campaign. Shortly after taking office, he infamously called then U.S. President Barack Obama a son of a bitch, although he later clarified that he was actually referring to a journalist. Despite his declining health and the imminent threat of an ICC arrest warrant, Duterte registered in October to run for mayor of his hometown in the South. This move was widely interpreted as an effort to bolster his scandal-plagued political dynasty amid a contentious rift between his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, and Marcos Jr.